Countless women who heard the news were green with envy. Everyone was wondering who the lucky woman was, the one whose man would drop millions in a single night to book the entire Sky Garden just to show her how much he loved her. A lot of people couldn't wait for the big day to finally see who it was. To keep his identity a secret, Charlie had Isaac make special arrangements for the entire Sky Garden. He was also really looking forward to their anniversary. He wanted to give Claire the grand wedding they never had. Early the next morning, Charlie left the house and headed to a dealership. He had a bank card with $10 billion on it that he hadn't really used yet. This time, he was going to buy Claire a nice, respectable luxury car. His first thought was to go all out and buy her one of the top luxury cars. But after thinking it over, he realized a car that expensive would be hard to explain. Besides, Claire had always been a low-key person. Even if she owned a car that fancy, she'd probably never be comfortable driving it. So he decided to get his wife a business sedan worth around $500,000. It would be impressive, but not too flashy, and more practical. She wouldn't be so worried about it getting scratched or dented. It was the kind of car a lot of business people drove, so it had a good reputation. Plus, it was a roomy sedan, perfect for his wife. When he got to the car showroom, he parked his little e-bike by the door and walked inside. A few salespeople inside saw a customer walk in, and a couple of them started to head over. But then a woman in the back said quickly, "Hey, that guy pulled up on an e-bike. He's probably just here for the free AC and Wi-Fi. Just ignore him." As soon as they heard he came on an e-bike, the other salespeople lost interest. Lately, with the hot weather, they'd been getting a lot of broke people coming in just to hang out in the air conditioning. Sometimes they'd even sit in the show cars and refuse to leave until security had to escort them out. It was a huge annoyance for the sales staff. Charlie, on his e-bike and dressed in his regular clothes, didn't exactly stand out. He didn't look like someone who could afford a car. Nobody paid any attention to him, but Charlie didn't care. He walked right over to the display area for the model he wanted and saw that the price ranged from around $300,000 to over $600,000. The model over $600,000 was the top of the line, the extended executive version. Honestly, the car looked really good. The price of over $600,000 wasn't too outrageous, and he figured Claire would be okay with it. So he spoke up. "Do you have the top-of-the-line sedan in stock? I'd like to buy it now." The salespeople all looked at him like he was an idiot. One of them said with a sneer, "Did you even see the price? Did you count all the zeros?" Charlie frowned and looked at the salesman. $618,000. Yeah, I saw it. The man scoffed. "You saw it? Are you dreaming? Can you actually afford it? We bring out the bill, you have to swipe your card. And with everyone watching, it's going to be pretty embarrassing when you can't pay." Charlie asked coldly, "Are you sick or something? Did you forget your meds this morning? You want me to call 911 and have an ambulance take you away?" The salesman just grunted. "Yeah, right. Don't try that with me. Believe me, I can have security throw you out of here in a second. Just some broke guy who came in to freeload off the AC and Wi-Fi, pretending to be a big shot." Instead of getting angry, Charlie just laughed. He asked the salesman, "If you sell this car, what's your commission?" The guy said dismissively, "I'd make $10,000. Charlie nodded. "Well, you just lost $10,000. With that, Charlie turned and walked out. On his way, he passed the store manager who was just coming in. The name on his badge read, "WIB, Sales Manager." Charlie stopped him. "Are you the person in charge here?" "Yes," WIB nodded. "How can I help you?" Charlie pointed back at the rude salesman. "You should probably fire that guy. As long as he's working here, he's just going to hurt the business of your car dealership." When the salesman heard this, he ran over. "Manager Wibb, don't listen to his nonsense. This guy's crazy. He just came in to use the free AC." Charlie just smiled. "If I'm just a bum, you'll see." After saying that, he walked out and went straight to the showroom next door. As soon as he got to the store, Charlie spotted one of the most luxurious models, a 760. It was the top-of-the-line model of the 7 Series, the most expensive model the brand makes. It had a 12-cylinder engine, which was incredibly powerful, and the inside was just pure luxury. He was feeling angry now. Did those idiots really look down on him? Fine. He decided he would buy this car just to show them. After all, he had more than enough money. So he walked right up to the salesperson and asked, "This car, can I drive it off the lot today?" The young woman was stunned. "Sir, this car just got to the showroom today. Are you sure you want to buy it?" "Yes," Charlie nodded. "I'm sure. Let's run the card." "What? This car is $2.6 million. The salesperson was completely speechless. She'd been selling cars for a long time and had never seen a customer just walk in and ask to swipe their card without even a test drive. Was this guy just messing with her? Charlie smiled. "I know. I saw the price. Just tell me if you're selling it or not." "Sell it? Of course we'll sell it," the young woman said excitedly. "Right this way, please." Just like that, she led him through the process. Charlie swiped his card, paid, and got the keys, all in one quick move. When the $2.6 million car rolled out, the people back at the previous brand's dealership looked absolutely stunned. Charlie drove the car right up to the entrance of the store, popped the trunk, tossed his e-bike inside, and then drove off with a flourish. The salesman who had looked down on Charlie was speechless. Manager Wibb, standing right next to him, said with a cold expression, "Go to HR and get your final paycheck. You're fired." "Manager, get out!" The other employees at the dealership were also completely shocked. Damn, nobody would have guessed that the guy on an e-bike was so loaded he'd just drop over $2.6 million on a car and buy it on the spot. The salesman who had insulted Charlie was filled with regret. Not only had he lost a huge customer and tens of thousands in commission, but he'd also lost his job. If only he hadn't been so quick to judge. As Charlie drove the car away, he started to feel that maybe he'd been a little impulsive. He wasn't worried about the money, but the car was just so expensive. How was he going to explain this to Claire? $2.6 million doesn't just fall out of the sky. After thinking about it, a great idea popped into his head. He drove to a roadside auto body shop and spent $20 to have the owner swap the 760 emblem for a 521 from the same manufacturer. Both series looked very similar. The main differences were on the inside, so most people couldn't tell them apart just by looking, except for the emblem on the back. Charlie drove the car, thinking to himself that Claire didn't know much about cars and wouldn't pay close attention anyway. If he told her it was a different model, she probably wouldn't know the difference. The owner of the auto body shop smacked his lips and thought to himself that the guy seemed honest enough, but he clearly had a sneaky side. Deliberately changing a top-of-the-line 760 car to look like a modest 520, he must be a wolf in sheep's clothing. After sorting out the car, Charlie remembered that his friend Darren White's restaurant was having its grand opening at noon today, and he still needed to get him a gift. He remembered how Darren was the only classmate who was ever really good to him back in college, so he drove straight to a large art consignment shop and spent $200,000 on an early painting by an early American artist named Harvey Pike. Harvey Pike wasn't very famous, so most people wouldn't recognize his work. He bought the old painting for 2 reasons. First, he wanted to give Darren a meaningful, substantial gift. But second, he didn't want anyone else to know how much the painting was actually worth. He figured if anyone asked, he could just play it off and say it only cost a few $1,000s. By the time he bought the painting, it was almost noon. Charlie called his wife, Claire, and told her he would pick her and Elsa up from the Emgrand group. When he pulled up, Claire saw that Charlie was actually driving a new car. She stared at Charlie, dumbfounded, and asked in shock, "Where did this car come from?" Charlie smiled. "I bought it, for you." "You bought it?" Claire was even more surprised. "Where did you get the money?" "From my personal savings," Charlie said. "Look, I've been with the Wilson family for so long, and I didn't spend a dime when we got married. All these years I've eaten their food, lived in their house, and used their stuff. Is it really so strange that I managed to save up some money of my own?" Claire replied, "But if you saved money, you should have kept it. Why would you buy such an expensive car? This must have cost $400,000. Charlie smiled and said, "You're my wife. If I'm not going to spend my savings on you, who would I spend it on? Besides, you're a director now and you don't have a car. It doesn't look professional and people will talk." At this time, Elsa also chimed in. "Claire, you really do need a car for work. This one is perfect for you. Charlie is obviously thinking about you, so you should be happy." Claire nodded, very moved. "Charlie, thank you." Charlie gently squeezed her hand and said with a smile, "Hey, why are you being so formal with your husband?" After speaking, he turned to both of them and said, "Let's head straight to Darren's restaurant." Claire quickly asked, "Did you get him a gift?" "I bought one," Charlie said. "I got him a painting." "A painting?" Claire asked curiously. "What kind of painting?" Charlie said, "It's one of those old-looking paintings from the vintage market. I think it's a painting of pomegranates, which are supposed to symbolize good fortune, wealth, and prosperity. It seemed nice, so I bought it." Claire asked, "How much did you buy it for?" "A few thousand." Claire nodded and said with a smile, "Then you probably got ripped off. You can't buy any real ancient paintings for just a few $1,000s. Charlie said with a smile, "It doesn't matter. It's the thought that counts. The gesture is what's important." Claire nodded in agreement and said, "You're right. It's the sentiment that matters. Let's go straight to the restaurant now." Darren's newly opened restaurant was in the development zone of Aris Hill City. The zone was far from the city center, a wide-open area with a lot of land and not many people. Charlie was a little puzzled why Darren would choose to open a restaurant way out here. However, he'd heard from Claire that several large manufacturing companies had recently set up shop in the development zone, including huge corporations like Apple, which would be up and running soon. So Darren was actually pretty smart to open his restaurant here now. Darren's place, the Moonlight Bistro, sat on the edge of a wide new street. It looked pretty big with 2 full stories, and the name had a nice, artistic ring to it. When Charlie pulled up to the restaurant, a line of cars was already parked out front. A few guys were standing around a gold luxury car, smoking and chatting. Charlie recognized them. They were all classmates from college, but he wasn't really friends with any of them. He definitely remembered the guy leading the group. His name was Gavin Sawyer, who had been one of the well-known rich kids in their class back in the day. He'd always had a thing for Claire, but she never gave him the time of day. Right then, Gavin was leaning against his gold car, soaking in the compliments from his classmates. A couple of the guys were going on about his new sedan. "Gavin, man, you're really a winner. Driving a car this expensive right after graduating? That looks like the 540, right? The top of the 5 Series? Gavin laughed and said, "Oh, a 540. It's nothing much, just around 700,000 or 800,000, that's all." "Damn, a 540? That's the most expensive imported model in the 5 Series. Man, I'm trying to buy a 3 Series for 300,000 and I can't even scrape together the down payment. I'm not even in the same league." "Gavin, your car must have some serious power, right?" Gavin smiled and said, "Yeah, it's all right. The acceleration is pretty strong. You generally don't run into anyone on the street who can keep up." "That's awesome! If only I could have this car. My girlfriend keeps nagging me that I can't afford a car, and it's so annoying." Just then, someone with sharp eyes saw another car from the same brand arriving and said in surprise, "Oh, is that one of our classmates too?" "Oh, hell no! Isn't that Charlie, the good-for-nothing freeloader? Looks like Claire's in the passenger seat. Damn, that freeloader is driving a luxury car too. It's gotta be Claire's car, right?" Gavin also saw Charlie in the car and said with a sour look on his face, "So it's that piece of trash. Damn, what a lucky break for him." Just then someone asked, "Hey, what model is that he's driving?" At that moment, Charlie pulled the car up and then backed into a parking spot. Gavin glanced at the 520 on the trunk emblem and suddenly smirked with contempt. A 520! The absolute base model of the 5 Series. He's just fronting, trying to look like he has money. Anyone can afford that piece of junk. The guy next to him quickly nodded and said, "Gavin, you have the top-of-the-line 5 Series, and he has the cheapest one. Yours is way better, right?" Gavin snorted coldly. "I could buy 2 of his cars." "You're the man, Gavin!" Just then, Charlie turned off the car and Claire and Elsa got out first. A few of the guys immediately straightened up and swarmed them. "Well, look who's here! The 2 prettiest girls from our class, together!" Claire and Elsa greeted everyone politely. Gavin looked at Claire, who was even more beautiful now, and felt a bitter surge of resentment. Damn it, why? In college, he'd chased after Claire like crazy, but she wouldn't give him the time of day. Now she was married to this live-in freeloader, a total loser who mooched off her family. God must be blind. Thinking about it just made him mad, and he sneered, "Well, Charlie, looks like you've got it made living at Claire's house. Even got yourself a nice car. Did Claire buy it for you? You really found the shortcut in life. You're an inspiration to us all." Claire's expression soured when she heard that. Elsa, standing next to her, immediately jumped in. "Gavin, you've got it all wrong. Claire didn't buy this car. Charlie bought it himself." "Oh," Gavin curled his lip. "Awesome. You're rolling in a 5 Series. Then he deliberately tried to get a rise out of Charlie. "Hey, Charlie, the roads out here in the development zone are empty, and that main avenue is wide and straight. What do you say we race? See who's faster?" Charlie frowned, feeling annoyed at Gavin's attitude. Why is this guy always trying to start something with me? We're not even friends. Besides, who is he trying to race? My car is a 760, the most expensive and fastest model they make. Racing him would be like bullying a kid. Gavin thought Charlie was scared and immediately sneered. "What's the matter, Charlie? Still the same as you were in college. What are you afraid of? Worried about the cost of gasoline? It's not a big deal. I'll even fill up your tank for you." Elsa protested, clearly annoyed. "Hey, Gavin, what's your problem? Your car is a 540, and Charlie's is a 520. There's a huge difference in power. You call that a fair race?" Gavin just shrugged. A race is all about the driver's skill. A good car doesn't guarantee a win. It also comes down to technique and courage. I don't know if Charlie here has the guts to compete. If not, then just forget it. It's not like he's ever been one to step up. We all know that. A few guys next to him immediately chimed in. "Yeah, just admit it if you're scared." No shame in it. Charlie didn't get angry. He just laughed and said, "Gavin, a race is fine, but we can't just do it for bragging rights, can we? We should put something on the line, otherwise it's boring." Okay, Gavin had been worried Charlie wouldn't take the bait. When he heard Charlie suggest a bet himself, he was thrilled, thinking Charlie was walking right into his trap. He blurted out, "Fine, how about this? Whoever loses gets on their knees and admits defeat to the winner. What do you think?" Charlie shook his head. "We're all adults here. Let's not be so childish." At that moment, Darren walked out in a suit, holding a big box of fireworks. When he saw Charlie, he rushed over excitedly. "Hey, Charlie, you made it!" Charlie nodded and smiled back. "Congrats on the grand opening, Darren." Darren smiled and said, "Thanks, man." Gavin said coldly, "Charlie, don't change the subject. Tell me, what do you think the bet should be?" Darren asked curiously, "What's going on? What are you guys doing?" Charlie just smiled slightly, looked at the big box of fireworks in Darren's arms and asked him, "Darren, how big of a show do those fireworks put on?" "It's a huge display," Darren smiled. "These weren't cheap. It'll leave the whole ground covered in red. Cost me over $600. Charlie nodded and then turned to Gavin. "All right, let's race. And whoever loses has to set this box of fireworks off inside their car. What do you think?" When Gavin heard this, he could barely contain his excitement. His car was a 540, and Charlie's was a 520. There was no way Charlie could win, even if he pushed his car to the limit. And yet, here he was, making a bet this huge. Setting off a large fireworks display inside the car would absolutely destroy it. The interior, the seats, the dashboard, it would all be a complete wreck. Since Charlie was practically asking for it, this was the perfect chance to completely humiliate him. So, Gavin nodded without a moment's hesitation and shouted, "Everyone's a witness. Charlie and I are going to see whose car is fastest. If I lose, I'll set these fireworks off in my own car and light them." Then he added, "And if anyone backs out and goes back on their word, their whole family will have to live with the shame." A few of the guys next to him immediately started hyping it up. The students upstairs heard the commotion and all rushed down. A crowd of 20 or 30 people gathered around the entrance, eager to see the show. Everyone thought Charlie was an idiot. A 520 daring to challenge a 540? This was all a straight shot. On a road like this, speed had very little to do with skill and everything to do with the car's performance. A 520, even if a pro was behind the wheel, couldn't possibly beat a 540. It looked like Charlie's brand new 520 was about to be declared a total loss. Claire kept trying to talk Charlie out of it. "Charlie, don't let him get to you. He's doing this on purpose. Don't race him." Charlie just smiled. "Don't worry, honey. I'm not going to lose." Gavin laughed loudly. "Oh, Charlie, I'll give you one thing. You've got guts. In that case, let's cut the crap and just race." "Okay," Charlie nodded and asked him, "So, what are the rules?" Gavin pointed to the intersection at the end of the road. "We start at the same time. We race to that intersection, turn around, and the first one back here wins. What do you say?" Charlie smiled and said, "No problem." "All right," Gavin said, buzzing with excitement. "Everyone's a witness. Let's start the race right now." With that, he hopped into his 540 and pulled out onto the road. Ignoring Claire's protests, Charlie drove his car up next to Gavin's, their front bumpers perfectly aligned. Just then, one of the guys grinned. "I'll do the countdown for you." "Okay," Gavin smirked. "Start whenever you're ready." Charlie nodded and switched his 760 into sport mode. The 760 has a 6.6-liter engine with 585 horsepower. Gavin's 540, on the other hand, has a 3-liter engine with 340 horsepower. The 760's engine was more than twice the size, with an extra 245 horsepower. It was a night and day difference. But Gavin had no idea that Charlie's 520 was actually a top-of-the-line 760. He thought he had this in the bag. The student doing the countdown yelled excitedly, "Get ready! 3, 2, 1, go!" The second he said go, Gavin slammed his foot on the gas. He knew Charlie was going to lose, but he wanted to make it as humiliating as possible. So he tried to get an even bigger lead. But what he didn't expect was the black shadow that shot past him on his right, instantly leaving him in the dust. It was Charlie's 520. Gavin couldn't believe his eyes. Oh, crap! How is that possible? No way!
This is only 5% of the story. Full story on Pocket FM app. Click on the link in description, install the app, and get 10 episodes free instantly.